I also want to talk about how this holiday has been for me. I dread holidays. I dread the holidays because typically, historically, it's meant a lot of stress. I grew up in a household with a mom who loved to host and loved to have people over and loved to do things for other people. And the stress of having people over and helping her cook and get things ready and then doing dishes till like 2 or 3 in the morning is not something I look forward to. And last year around this time, I was just like, absolutely not. I was coming into the understanding that I don't have to do things for other people all the time and rescue and save others. And so I was like, I'm not doing any holiday anything with anyone. I'm going to be by myself. And I did. I was by myself. I ended up, I'm trying to let pauses be pauses and not do the and so and when I'm editing, I realize that I do that a lot. I don't ever feel I would say something like, or I would say, and so and I'm realizing that those are my fillers. I ended up in an emotional flashback. I ended up, that's TMI. uh, on Wednesday, the day before this holiday, that was yesterday, Thursday, I didn't do anything. I just sat here and felt my feelings. And I had somebody describe the menstrual cycle as four phases or four seasons of the weather, spring, summer, winter, fall, and the luteal phase being fall. And I think that's where I am, just based on the dip in my my feelings, my emotions, the way that I'm observing and moving through the world. And it's time for me to go inward. It's time for me to pull inward, which is what people are supposed to do during fall, or what fall calls for is pulling inward. And as I'm pulling inward, I'm realizing, huh, there's a lot here. There's a part of me that doesn't believe the day before the holidays I can be relaxed and peaceful and at ease because I need to be running around. And that's very much informed by childhood experiences. And I got to just sit. In undergrad, I remember putting together a dinner for people who were international students. At the time, that was me too. And in my head, I was like, they don't have any family because people don't have family in the US during holidays like this one. They don't go home, they just stay in the dorms. So the dorms are open and everybody goes home. And I'm very used to that feeling of everyone going home to their family and me not having any family to go home to. And so in undergrad, I wanted to be around other people. And what I failed to realize at the time is that I could just say, I want to be around other people. Whoever wants to be around me, come through. At the time, I didn't have much self esteem. My self esteem came from others needing me, and I had a need to be needed to feel like I existed. Codependence. And I put together this thing, went and got all these groceries, cooked all this Nigerian food. People came, and the people who came, I didn't realize at the time, of course, were people who were very comfortable exploiting others. Because that's who I attracted when I was looking for people who needed me. Healthy people don't just stay in relationships that are one way, they are interdependent. They exist in relationships that go both ways. And I, at the time, I didn't know this. So all the people that came, not all, but most of the people who came, first of all, they hadn't asked me to put anything on. I just offered this thing, so of course they're going to take it. Second of all, I was shocked because one of them just dumped his dishes in the sink, and I was like, "Excuse me, are you going to wash that?" And he gave me this really nasty look. And in my head, I was like, not only is he ungrateful to be here, he feels entitled to my time and energy. Oh, right. In retrospect, I'm like, I set that dynamic up. And so I don't know how to do holidays in a non codependent way. And it goes with my socialization, and it's not a mistake that I'm also someone who was socialized to be a Black woman. And I was talking to a friend about this recently, which is that I'm complicit in my exploitation in the sense that I have been socialized to abandon myself to survive. It's expected of me that I abandon myself, and then there's also the fact that I participate in it. And as I've come out of that expectation of participating in my own self abandonment, the world has treated me worse for it. I uploaded a video that I now deleted that I might talk about a little bit later, that goes into the my understanding of Black women's anger and how that anger is liberating because anger is the emotion that tells me my boundaries have been crossed. And when I don't feel that anger because the world demonizes it, I don't have boundaries. And I didn't have boundaries as an undergrad. I was baby. And I didn't have boundaries. And when I didn't have boundaries, people expected things of me that were ridiculous. I didn't know they were ridiculous, so I went with them. And I also was fully complicit in my own oppression and in my own marginalization by meeting their expectations of having no boundaries. And what I'm learning is I get to have boundaries. I get to draw the line. I get to say no. And if that makes folks uncomfortable, they get to take that to their therapist because the world doesn't have to be one that is founded on my exploitation. There's expectation that people have that I'm okay with my exploitation. And then there's a choice that I say, I'm not going to be complicit in my exploitation. So yesterday, people came over. I wasn't alone, I was in community. I made some food, and most of it was for myself. And I shared some with them. And they brought themselves and they brought good conversation and laughter and love. And all they wanted was just to be around me. It didn't matter if the food was pizza or if it was nothing. They just wanted to spend time in my company and in my presence. And that's something 21-year-old me didn't know. That there are people who will want to spend time with me just because I exist, not because I have anything to offer them. And that was a beautiful thing to learn yesterday. And the young part of me that was freaking out got to witness that. There's a lot of grief in that, and realizing that as a kid, I wasn't responsible for hosting people and the chaos that came with it, and being an assistant mom that came with it shouldn't have had to be my job to hold. I should have been able to play. And if my mom chose to host people, then that was on her. Me being recruited to make that possible and to go beyond the limits of my comfort, which should have never been on me. And on Wednesday, I was positively freaking out. I recorded some videos where I was really freaking out. And to be on the other side of it now, probably going to look back at those and be like, wow, maybe I'll put them up on my Patreon. But yeah, I would love to hear from people if this is relatable or how they spent their holidays or how much stress, gender wise, people experienced in preparing to host people, be that holidays, be that just to get together. Because I'm taking this now and I'm like, get togethers don't have to be stressful at all. I'm loving and choosing to love people who can love and be responsible for themselves, and we get to be in community, in interdependent relationships where they take care of themselves and I take care of myself. And then we witness each other doing that as opposed to me trying to save or rescue them. Because that's what I was trying to do in undergrad with those people. I was trying to rescue them and remind them that they're not alone. Meanwhile, I was the one who needed that. That's the thing about codependence. I'm giving people things that I need to give myself because I didn't have a sense of self. Very cool to see that now, recognize that, realize that. Love is a beautiful thing. It's also a very hard and uncomfortable thing. This is the second in a series of videos I'm recording, and I'm already feeling closer to myself and better. I don't know if better is the word, but definitely feeling closer to myself.